So, welcome back to Blackphoenix Entertainment. We're going to talk about some more IT stories. This one is interesting. A lot of stuff going on with this one. But first, I want you guys, I don't know if you can notice in my shirt, wearing my Lunafide Ravens Midgard shirt. Go down to my description and check out the cool discount code and stuff like that I got for you guys. Maybe you can pick up something cool that you like. Anyways, let's get riding and talk about my latest IT story, contract.
Alright, so if you have been following along with my IT stories, you'll know that this story is the contract I have between my last IT story and with that contract company and me going back to that same contract company full time. So basically, yes, little backstory is like me contracting for that company said, hey, we really like you, you did an awesome job on this project, we don't have a full-time position for you yet. So we both agreed like, hey, I need to make money, so I need to go find another contract short-term until you guys get an open position. We all agreed to that, so I went out searching and I found something, and 100% did not turn out how it was supposed to be. And it is a story of gross mismanagement and how not to run an IT department. Also, the contract company, a totally different company that gave me this contract, is also at fault because they just mismanaged it on their end as well. Let's dive into it. I'm looking around, I'm like, you know, contract, stuff like that, I'm like, I can do this one. Went for it, had a couple interviews, blah, 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 all of that. Interviews went fine. Basically, it was me going in. They were doing a PC refresh project, which, if you're not familiar with that, is you had older PCs, maybe running an older OS, replace it with a newer PC, newer OS. Very simple swap out, what do you call it, files. God, I can't even think this morning, it's early. Yeah, swapping out files, data, anything else that needs to be swapped from the old one to the new one, that's what you're doing. Pretty straightforward, easy contract. I picked it up because I knew it was going to be temporary and I was moving. So, one thing with the negotiations was they were lowballing me hardcore. And it was in a major city for a major company. And I was like, there's no way in hell you're paying me that little to do this. So, one of my phone interviews, the guy was like, he literally said, why should we pay me more? Why should we pay you more? And I said, number one, if you want someone who's going to do the job right and has the skills to do it without being micromanaged, then you can hire me for more money. If not, go hire, almost word for word what I said to him. If not, go hire someone for less money and see how that works out for you. And, there's a slight pause, and he's like, okay, we finished up the call or whatever. I get an email saying that, hey, I don't know if a lot of people know how IT contracts work, but sometimes they'll do it over the phone, sometimes they do it over email. So he sent me the email without even telling me, like, on the phone that I had. He goes, hey, here's all the paperwork you had to fill out for the job. That's how he told me I had the job. I'm like, awesome. That should have been a red flag right there, being like, yeah, okay, I can see how this is going to go. So fill all that out, blah, blah, blah. So, okay, go to do this contract. One of the things that I found out first day on site, and this is both parties, actually all three parties. I'm a party, contract company, and a company I'm working for, all three parties. There's no parking. You have to literally, if you want to park in the company parking lot, you have to pay a monthly fee. That is a problem of working in a major city. And there's street parking, but guess what? It's all meters. So I'd have to run out there every so often and drop quarters into a meter. Not going to happen. So I would say about 3 blocks away, there was a parking garage where pretty much everybody parked and either A, walked, or if the weather was bad or whatever, there was a shuttle that would bring you from the parking garage to the company. And I was like, yeah, this sucks. So I had to deal with a parking garage. I was like, what do I do? I'm new here, blah, blah, blah. So I had to pay a monthly fee for the parking garage. They give you like this little thing you stick on your dash or whatever, and it opens up the gate for you. So already I'm kind of losing money because now I have to pay for parking. Fun stuff. Alright, so get there. So yeah, I was contracted specifically to swap out these PCs. Within the first I'm not going to say that within the first week. I'm going to give him some credit. I would say about 2 or 3 weeks in, I start realizing that there are some things going on in this department. Not everybody is on the same page. Not everybody's happy, and I start seeing the mismanagement. And I really didn't see it earlier because I was actually doing the work I was supposed to be doing. I would schedule it out. They let me be, which is how I work the best. You give me a task, say, all right, here it is, do your thing, basically. And that's what I was doing. I was scheduling it out. I was doing emails, walking around the company like, hey, you know, you're on this list. I can do it at so-and-so time. Boom, done, no problems. Now we get into the manager of the IT department. So there's a manager of the actual department, oversees everything, and then you've got a director that kind of oversees more. That's usually how it works. So the manager, I don't know what was going on. I don't know what he mismanaged, but they had severe inventory problems. I don't even think they were taking like inventory of their inventory whatsoever. So they started running out of PCs for the regular help desk guys and like the actual full-time workers there. And there's a lot to this, so I'm kind of glazing over some of the details, but in short, they were taking PCs from my project that was budgeted for my project that I was specifically contracted for other things. That's a no-no. That's not what you do. Like, you forgot the company budgeted so much for this project for all of these, and now you're taking them, which screws up a lot of things. It screws up a lot of paperwork and some back-end stuff. And also, how am I going to finish that project now that you're taking PCs away? Where am I getting the PCs back for these people that are on this list that, again, you had budgeted for? So once I started seeing that, I reached out to the company that contracted me and said, hey, there's some weird stuff going on here. So I talked to him a couple times. I talked to my rep. Basically, you have a rep that you kind of work with that, you know, you deal with directly for your contracts and stuff, and she was really good. No fault of hers. So that, you know, went back and forth a couple times. You know, nothing really came of it. Then it got worse to the point where I had nothing to do because I'm running out of PCs already, and this guy mismanaged his department so bad that he didn't, for whatever reason, he didn't have the staff or whatever to do what they actually needed to do full time. So he started asking me to do desktop support for them. And I was like, I don't know, I gotta talk, I'll do it today. Because it was kind of like a spur of the moment thing, but I really got to talk to the contract company and be like, hey, this isn't part of the deal. So talk to them. They were like, do it for the rest of the week, and then, you know, we'll talk about it. So the contract company sent out a higher rep. He was like the district rep or whatever. He took me out to lunch. We talked about it, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, dude, there's some weird stuff going on. Oh! There's something else that that preceded this meeting with this director. Funny story. I'm gonna wait till I get on the Ave, and then we'll talk about it. Alrighty. So before I went to my contract company, I was just like, hey, let me just talk to the manager of the department first, just kind of see what's going on. So I get him in the morning. I'm just like, hey, dude, can I talk to you or whatever? And we started talking like, hey, you know, this is what's going on. I'm trying to do this project, blah, 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 and all this. Dude, this guy, like, breaks down and starts just ranting about his job, about his boss. He's like, oh, this friggin' company, blah, blah, blah. I'm trying to do the best I can, all this stuff. Like, he literally just broke down and just started ranting to me about all his problems and dealing with his director and all of that. And he was man, that was like the end of me talking about what I wanted to talk about. I was like, all right, I guess this meeting's about you. I guess you needed to vent about stuff you're going through, which at the end of it, I do get like where he was coming from. because mismanagement usually kind of starts at the top and trickles down. So if you yourself have a bad manager, obviously it's harder for you to get the stuff done that you need to get done. You know, I think we've all been there at some point. But anyways, even regardless of all of that, he really should have just started me like, I'm not your employee, really. You know, like, I'm basically a vendor contractor coming in here to do this job that you guys are paying me to do. And yeah, I think just with everything else, he just kind of let that fall by the wayside. So, and again, another thing before I get to that other meeting. So he had me doing like desktop support tickets, stuff like that. So I was like, all right, whatever. There was this, I remember this specifically because this kind of blew up. There was a conference room and I had to go to a projector and figure out, oh, what's going on with the projector, whatever. The lamp was blown out, so I'm like, all right, whatever. So I go back to the supply room, get the lamp, whatever. As I'm doing that, as I'm walking back with the replacement lamp in my hand, the director of that department walks by and goes, hey, what are you doing? So I told him what I'm doing. He's like, that's not what we're paying you to do. I totally get his point of view, and I get it, and that's kind of what I was, he's like, you know, we have guys that do that full time. You're supposed to be doing this project, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to find out what's going on. So I'm like, do you want me to finish this? And he's like, no, that's not what we're paying you to do. So I'm like, all right. I walked right back, but, you know, whatever. This is the beginning of the end of kind of my time there. So then I have the meeting with, I know it's getting a little confusing here with all these people, with the contract company's director rep. And I told him what was going on. You know, he's the one who took me out to lunch and all of that. So he goes, basically just told me just keep with it, bear with it, we'll deal with it, blah, blah, blah. And I kind of just told him, dude, I know I negotiated all of this, but I'm paying for parking, I'm doing all of this. Like, this isn't what I signed up for. And unless you guys plan on bumping me up in pay or something like that, like, I don't see how this is going to work out. And he kept assuring me, like, all right, you know, we'll figure it out, we'll work out, whatever. I'm like, all right, dude, whatever. In between that meeting, like a little bit afterwards, guess who gives me a call? The other company I had worked for previously said, hey, we are having a full-time position come up in about a month. Like the way that they have to budget and, you know, demand and stuff like that. They had like another project coming up for the holiday season. So I'm like, all right, that's cool. So this is during the summer. Yeah, so in the summer, then, you know, the guy said, hey, we're going to have this little project coming up for the holidays and stuff like that. You know, we really want you in there because of what you did on the other project. I'm like, all right, that's cool. So he goes, what's your situation right now? I'm like, this is what's going on with me. And he goes, when's that contract over? And I'm like, I'm not 100% sure, but I have more than enough ammunition to just leave. And he goes, I respect that, you know, to whatever. I'm like, yeah, dude, you tell me a start date for you guys, I'll fill out the paperwork, I'll tell this other company, like, hey, guys, you know, this isn't working out. So all of this is happening in motion, all in the background, just an absolute cluster mess. So I'll go on for a few more days. So basically, the project that I was originally hired to do stopped happening. Like, I do not remember that project continuing. They tried starting to doing some inventory management, like signing in and out of stuff. I don't know what was going on with that. It sounds like someone internal was bleeding them of equipment. That's just me. I don't know if anyone ever looked into that. Anyways, I finally had enough, talked to the other company. I'm like, all right, dude, I gotta get out of here. It's so bad. And, yeah, I was just thinking I have another side story for that same company, but I'll get to side stories in another type of video. But so I start strategically planning my exit plan. I'm like, what am I going to do here? So obviously the first thing I do is contact my rep. I'm like, hey, this is what's going on, I gotta go. And she was cool with it, obviously disappointed, but you can't be totally surprised because of all the shit I've been bringing up to you guys. She's like, all right, you know, whatever, I get it. Can you just go on site and just kind of tell them what's going on? That I should not have had to do. That I'm not an employee. I'm just a vendor. I should never have just, been in that building again. 2 reasons why I did it. One, I had to go to the parking garage anyways and cancel my thing and give them back that, little sensor thing. 2, I had a security badge and some other stuff to get into this building, so I'm like, I kind of got to go there anyways, so fine. I'll do you this favor. So I walk in, I do the parking garage thing first, and then I go upstairs to the offices. I'm just like, all right, let me tell the manager and all the people that I'm leaving and I'm done, and then I'll go down to security and do my thing. I find it odd. I walk in, the regular security guy isn't there, and there's a little, I just noticed that something's kind of off in the lobby. I'm like, all right. I get upstairs, there is mass security in the IT office, and there's a guy in front. So I show him my badge. I'm like, hey, dude, I'm here. He's like, all right, you can go in. I'm like, all right. They're all in the manager's office with the director. He's getting his stuff together, and they're literally walking out the IT manager the day that I walk in to tell him that I'm gone. So they walk him out, blah, blah, blah. The director comes back in, says, hey, this guy's in charge for now, business as usual until I say otherwise. Then he walks out. Oh, God.
Oh, that's funny. It's funny now because it just, you had to be there because it was just, the cluster of mess just built up to that moment, and I'm just like, holy crap, this cannot be really happening. So it did. It really, really happened.
So after he walks out, we're all like kind of staring at each other like, hey, what's going on? One of the help desk kid notices, dude, Ryan's in street clothes. Like jeans, like literally I'm in jeans, t-shirt, sneakers, stuff like that. He goes, what's going on? I'm like, guys, I'm gone. Like, this isn't even my last day. Like, last week was my last week. I'm leaving. And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, I didn't really get into a huge detail. I'm like, I'm gone. I can turn in my badge and all of that. So I already told the contract company. So whatever. And the guy he put temporarily in charge was like, he was a veteran. He kind of knew. He's like, all right, it doesn't really affect us. Really, like, we're just gonna keep doing what we're doing. So I said bye to everybody, and that was it. Walked out. Oh man, that was a cluster, an absolute cluster of gross mismanagement, and on all sides, really. And what are you gonna do? It is what it is. Little side note to that story. Apparently, that particular contract company did not like the way I did anything. And I was like, screw you guys. I told you exactly what was happening every step of the way. So they friggin' blackballed me. They're like, all right, we're not going to give you any more contracts. You're off our list. You're no longer... Basically banned me from working for them. I'm like, fine, whatever. If that's how you guys run shit, I don't want to work for you anyways. So... it's never come up, never affected me. My resume speaks for itself. One company banning me isn't going to be a huge deal. And I'm not one to really burn bridges on purpose or whatever, but I was just kind of a casualty of war, so to speak, in that whole mess of a situation. But the good news is, I started my other contract, not all that, I think a month later, so I had a month off. So, before I started working, full-time contract for this other company. I will get into that on another vlog, because this vlog has been really long, and I totally appreciate anybody, who watched the whole thing and listened to me. But I hope this one was a little bit more interesting than the other ones, because it's just a absolute mess, and the stories get much more interesting from here, because now they're more full-time gigs than they are contracts. So I have side stories to come up. So anyways, I'll talk about all that in another one because I don't want to keep you here because now I feel bad because you guys have been watching the whole thing. So, if you like what I'm doing, if you like these stories, let me know down in the comments. Subscribe, hit the bell, do all the fun YouTube stuff, do the cool Lunafide stuff because I don't want to bash you guys over the head with that, but dude, this shirt is pretty damn cool. Anyways, thank you, and now it is much, much long overdue, so I must bid you adieu. So goodbye and good night.